My wife left me because I was unemployed and fat. Now she wants to come back, but now. My name's Ethan, and I'm 30 years old. For as long as I can remember, I've been an ordinary guy trying to navigate life's ups and downs. I used to think I was doing okay, but now, looking back, I can see how things started to unravel. I worked at a small tech company for nearly 6 years. I liked my job. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and kept me busy. I enjoyed the routine and had a few friends there. Everything seemed stable until the company hit some financial trouble. Out of nowhere, I found myself out of a job. At first, I thought it was just a bump in the road. I updated my resume, sent it out to dozens of companies, and hoped for the best. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. Every rejection email or ignored application felt like a personal failure. As if losing my job wasn't enough, I began to lose control over other aspects of my life. With all the free time and mounting stress, I started eating more. I used to be fairly fit, but as I sat around searching for jobs and eating comfort food, I put on a lot of weight. I went from being in decent shape to feeling uncomfortable in my own skin. My clothes didn't fit, and I avoided mirrors as much as possible. My wife, Emily, noticed the changes. She tried to be supportive at first, but I could see the frustration growing in her eyes. I wasn't the man she married anymore. I was struggling and slipping into a pit of despair, and I could feel it affecting our relationship. Emily and I had been together for 8 years. We had shared countless happy moments and weathered some tough times. But this period was different. I felt like I was dragging her down, and it was clear she felt the same way. One evening, as we sat across from each other at the dinner table, she finally spoke the words I'd been dreading. Her voice trembled, but her resolve was clear. "Ethan, I can't do this anymore," she said. "I can't watch you fall apart like this. It's affecting me, and it's affecting us. I need to step away." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I couldn't speak. I just stared at my plate, feeling my heart shatter into a million pieces. I had always thought that no matter how hard things got, we'd face them together. But now I was alone, and the weight of her departure was almost too much to bear. Emily packed her things in silence. I didn't even try to stop her. I knew deep down that she had given me so many chances and that I had failed to turn things around. She left that night, and as the door closed behind her, I was left in the dark, both literally and metaphorically. The house felt enormous and cold without her. I wandered through the empty rooms, feeling the echo of my footsteps. I was consumed by a profound sense of loss and loneliness. I spent days lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to muster the energy to move. The weight of my unemployment and the loss of my wife felt unbearable. Each day blended into the next. My only solace was in the small daily routines I clung to. I ate, slept, and watched TV. I tried to keep busy, but nothing seemed to fill the void. I avoided seeing friends and family because I didn't want to explain why everything had fallen apart. I was ashamed and didn't want to admit how low I had sunk. In the quiet moments, I found myself reflecting on everything that had happened. I thought about how I had let my career slip away, how I had neglected my health, and how I had failed to support my marriage. The regret was overwhelming. I wondered where I had gone wrong and why I couldn't seem to fix things. As days turned into weeks, I began to question if there was any hope left for me. The pain of Emily leaving was a constant ache in my heart. I had always believed that my worth was tied to my success and the happiness of my marriage. Without them, I felt like a failure in every sense. It was in this dark, empty space that I had to face the reality of my situation. I had hit rock bottom. My life was a mess, and I was at a crossroads. I had to decide whether to continue wallowing in despair or to start fighting for myself. Little did I know, this was the beginning of a journey that would change my life in ways I couldn't have imagined. That night, as I lay in bed, I made a decision. I wasn't sure what the future held or how I would climb out of this pit, but I knew I couldn't stay in this darkness forever. I had to try to rebuild, to find a way to move forward, and to rediscover myself. And so, with a heavy heart but a flicker of determination, I prepared to face the long, hard road ahead. The journey would be challenging, but it was the only path to reclaiming my life and and perhaps finding a way to heal the wounds that had been left behind. I felt as if I had sunk to the very bottom of the abyss. Each day blurred into the next in a fog of despair and regret. After Emily left, everything seemed to spiral out of control. The house, once filled with warmth and laughter, now felt like a cage of isolation. The days were spent in a haze of inactivity. I didn't go outside. I barely even moved from the bed. My eating habits, already out of control, worsened. I turned to junk food for comfort, eating whatever I could find: chips, pizza, anything that would numb the pain. My reflection in the mirror became a haunting reminder of how far I had fallen. The extra weight I had gained made me feel even worse about myself. I was trapped in a cycle of self-loathing. My friends called and texted, trying to reach out. They wanted to meet up, to offer support. But I couldn't bear to see them. I was ashamed of how I looked and how I had let my life deteriorate. I felt like a failure and couldn't face anyone. The thought of meeting them, looking so disheveled and out of shape, was unbearable. I avoided their calls and messages, hoping that if I ignored them long enough, they'd eventually stop trying. I remember one night when the weight of everything felt too heavy to bear. I sat on the edge of my bed, the room dimly lit by the streetlights filtering through the curtains. I looked around at the clutter: empty takeout boxes, crumpled clothes, and stacks of unopened mail. It all seemed to mock me. My heart ached, not just from the physical pain of overindulgence, but from the emotional pain of seeing my life fall apart. In those moments of solitude, I began to reflect on my choices and the impact they had on my life. I thought about how I had taken things for granted: my job, my health, my marriage. I had always assumed that things would work out on their own, that life would be smooth if I just went through the motions. But now, faced with the wreckage of my existence, I realized how wrong I had been. I replayed memories in my mind, moments of happiness with Emily, times when I was proud of my accomplishments and the dreams I once had. I thought about the person I used to be, someone who was motivated and hopeful. Now, all I could see was a shadow of that person, someone who had lost his way. The loneliness was suffocating. I spent hours just staring at the walls, feeling an overwhelming sense of emptiness. I felt like I had no direction, no purpose. Each day was a struggle to get out of bed, to eat something that wasn't fast food, to do anything productive. My world had shrunk to the confines of my home, and even that felt like too much to handle. I started to think about the future, which only added to my anxiety. The more I thought, the more I felt paralyzed by fear. How could I possibly turn things around? What was there left for me to cling to? Every attempt to envision a better future seemed to crumble before it even took shape. I avoided mirrors because I couldn't bear to see the person staring back at me. I knew I had to make changes, but I felt so overwhelmed that I didn't even know where to start. I knew I needed help, but asking for it seemed like an impossible step. I was stuck in a loop of self-pity and inaction. One night, as I sat in the dark, I found myself scrolling through my phone, searching for some distraction. I stumbled across a video from a motivational speaker. It was a random click, but something about his words resonated with me. He spoke about hitting rock bottom as a starting point for change. He talked about how acknowledging your pain and failures was the first step toward rebuilding your life. As I listened, a small spark of hope flickered within me. The speaker's story wasn't so different from mine. He had faced extreme challenges but managed to turn his life around. If he could do it, maybe I could find a way too. It was a glimmer of light in my dark world. I didn't know what to do next, but I felt a tiny shift within me. It was clear that I couldn't keep living like this. I had to take some kind of action, even if it was just a small step. The thought of change felt daunting, but the idea of continuing down this path was even more frightening. The days that followed were still tough. The heaviness of my situation didn't vanish overnight. But for the first time in a long while, I started to think that maybe, just maybe, there was a way out of this darkness. I began to consider small changes: eating a little better, getting out of the house for a short walk, reaching out to friends, even if it was uncomfortable. It wasn't a sudden transformation. It was just the beginning of a long journey. But acknowledging that I needed to start somewhere, no matter how small, was a crucial step. I knew that hitting rock bottom wasn't the end of the road. It was, in fact, a chance to rebuild, to fight for myself, and to find a new path forward. And so, with a flicker of determination, I took the first hesitant steps towards reclaiming my life. It was a small, shaky start, but it was a start nonetheless. It was a cold morning when I first watched that YouTube video. I'd been up all night, my mind racing with thoughts of where my life had gone wrong. I was in a place where every day felt like a struggle, and I needed something, anything, to shift my perspective. That's when I stumbled across a video by a young entrepreneur who had turned his life around against all odds. The guy on the screen spoke with a passion and energy that was almost contagious. He shared his own story of hitting rock bottom and how he had used that low point as a launchpad for change. He talked about setting goals, making small but consistent efforts, and finding purpose in every action. For the first time in ages, I felt a spark of hope. His story wasn't just inspirational. It felt like a blueprint for my own journey. As I listened, I made a decision. I wanted to change my life too. I didn't know exactly how, but I knew I had to start somewhere. The first step was to make a commitment to myself. I decided to adopt a new mindset and start taking action, no matter how small. The next day, I began making changes to my daily routine. I started with simple things, getting out of bed at a reasonable hour, eating healthier meals, and taking short walks around the neighborhood. It wasn't easy. I was out of shape and my body protested every step, but I pushed through. I knew that if I wanted to change my life, I had to be willing to work for it. I also began to educate myself. I spent hours researching ways to make money online. I read articles, watched videos, and took notes. I learned about different business models, e-commerce, and digital marketing. The more I learned, the more excited I became. It felt like a new world opening up to me, full of possibilities. One evening, while sifting through online resources, I decided to start my own online store. It was a daunting idea, but I was determined. I chose a niche that interested me. Products related to personal development and motivation, inspired by the very video that had sparked my desire for change. Building the store wasn't easy. I had to learn about website design, product sourcing, and marketing strategies. I spent countless hours setting everything up, often staying up late into the night. There were times when I felt overwhelmed and tempted to give up, but I reminded myself of why I started. I wanted to turn my life around, and this was my chance. As I worked on the store, I also focused on my physical and emotional transformation. I joined a local gym and hired a personal trainer. The workouts were challenging, but each session made me feel stronger and more capable. I started seeing small changes in my body, which boosted my confidence. I also began practicing mindfulness and meditation, which helped me manage stress and stay focused on my goals. The process of transformation was gradual, and progress didn't always come easily. There were setbacks and moments of self-doubt, but I kept pushing forward. I found support in online communities and forums where people shared their own journeys and encouraged each other. The sense of belonging and shared purpose kept me motivated. After several months of hard work, my online store was finally up and running. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. I began to see a trickle of sales, and with each sale, I felt a small sense of achievement. It wasn't just about the money. It was about proving to myself that I could create something positive out of my struggles. The store became a symbol of my commitment to change. It represented the new direction I was taking in my life, and it gave me a sense of purpose that I had been missing for so long. I continued to refine and expand the store, experimenting with new products and marketing strategies. The process of growing the business became a source of pride and motivation. As I worked on my business, I also made an effort to reconnect with my friends. I reached out to them, explained what I had been through, and shared my progress. Their support and encouragement meant a lot to me. They could see the changes in me, both physically and emotionally, and they were happy to see me moving forward. My transformation wasn't just about physical appearance or financial success. It was about finding my way back to myself, rediscovering my strengths, and creating a life that felt meaningful. I learned that change didn't happen overnight, but with perseverance and dedication, it was possible to build a better future. The journey was far from over. There were still challenges to face and goals to achieve, But I was no longer lost. I had found a sense of purpose and direction, and I was determined to keep moving forward. Each day brought new opportunities for growth, and I was excited to embrace them. Looking back, I realized that hitting rock bottom had been a crucial turning point. It forced me to confront my reality and take responsibility for my life. It was a painful process, but it led me to a place of transformation and hope. I had taken the first steps toward rebuilding my life, and I was committed to continuing that journey. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose and a clear vision for the future, I continued to work on my business, my health, and my personal growth. The turning tide had set me on a path of positive change, and I was ready to see where it would lead. As the months went by, I continued to work on myself with relentless determination. Each day brought new victories, no matter how small. I felt my self-confidence growing as I achieved more milestones in both my personal life and my business. The physical transformation I had undergone was just the tip of the iceberg. I was becoming a different person, someone who was proud of the progress he had made. My online store became more than just a way to earn money. It became a symbol of my hard work and resilience. Sales skyrocketed, and I was able to reinvest in the business, which led to even greater success. I reached out to new markets and explored innovative ways to engage with customers. The financial stability I gained allowed me to move into a better apartment, invest in new hobbies, and live a more fulfilling life. Rebuilding my social life was another key aspect of my journey. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. I joined local groups and attended networking events related to my interests and business. These new relationships brought fresh perspectives and opportunities. I started feeling like a part of a vibrant community, and it was exhilarating. One day, as I was working on a new marketing campaign for my store, I received a message from Emily. It was unexpected. She reached out through social media, asking if we could meet. At first, I was taken aback. I hadn't heard from her in months, and the thought of seeing her again stirred up a mix of emotions. When we finally met, Emily looked different. She seemed older and more tired, and there was a hint of desperation in her eyes. She apologized for the way things ended between us, and expressed admiration for how I had turned my life around. She said she had been watching my progress from a distance and was impressed by what I had achieved. As she spoke, I felt a wave of anger and disgust. Her presence reminded me of the pain and betrayal I had endured when she left me. I had worked so hard to overcome those feelings and rebuild my life, and now she was trying to come back into it. The anger I had suppressed for so long surged to the surface. I tried to remain calm as I listened to her, but I couldn't hold back my frustration. I told her that her apology was meaningless to me. She had walked out on me when I needed her the most, and now she wanted to be part of my life again, just because she saw I was successful. I made it clear that I didn't want her back, and that I had no interest in rekindling our relationship. The conversation quickly escalated. I told her that I didn't want to see her ever again, and that she had no right to come back into my life now that things were going well for me. I expressed how deeply she had hurt me, and how I had managed to rebuild my life despite her abandonment. I was firm and unyielding in my words, and I made it clear that I had no place for her in my future. Emily tried to reason with me, saying that people make mistakes, and that she had changed. But her words felt hollow. I had spent so long fighting to regain my self-worth and rebuild my life. The idea of letting her back into my world felt like a betrayal of everything I had worked for. I told her that I wished her well, but I had no interest in her future or in revisiting the past. The argument ended with a sense of finality. I watched as Emily left, feeling a mix of relief and bitterness. The confrontation had been painful, but it had also reinforced my resolve. I realized that holding on to anger and resentment was not helping me move forward, but I couldn't ignore the hurt she had caused. I had to protect the progress I had made and maintain the boundaries that were necessary for my well-being. In the days that followed, I focused on continuing my growth and nurturing the positive changes in my life. I surrounded myself with supportive friends and engaged in activities that brought me joy. My business continued to thrive, and I found satisfaction in the success I had achieved through my own efforts. I also took time to reflect on the lessons I had learned. The journey had been difficult, but it had taught me about resilience, self-worth, and the importance of setting boundaries. I had learned to value myself and to prioritize my own happiness. Looking back on the confrontation with Emily, I understood that it was a necessary part of my healing process. It allowed me to voice my feelings and establish clear boundaries. It also reinforced my commitment to moving forward and focusing on the future I wanted to build. As I continued to rebuild my life, I felt a sense of empowerment. I had overcome significant challenges and had created a life that was fulfilling and meaningful. I was no longer defined by the pain of the past, but by the strength and resilience I had discovered within myself. And so, with each passing day, I embraced the opportunities that came my way and continued to grow. The journey was far from over, but I was determined to face whatever came next with the same courage and determination that had brought me this far. I had learned to rebuild from within, and I was ready to take on the future with confidence and hope. With every passing day, the new perspective I had embraced started to feel more natural and integrated into my life. I had worked so hard to transform myself, and the results were evident in every aspect of my life. The past struggles were no longer a weight holding me down. They were stepping stones that had led me to a place of true fulfillment and peace. My business, which had once been a small online store, had grown beyond my wildest dreams. I had expanded into new markets and even started exploring opportunities in different countries. The success was not just financial. It was a testament to the dedication and effort I had put in. I felt a deep sense of pride and accomplishment with each new milestone. It was during this period of growth and success that I met someone special. Her name was Sarah, and she entered my life in a way I hadn't expected. We met through a mutual friend at a social event, and there was an instant connection. Sarah was kind, supportive, and shared many of the values and interests that were important to me. Our relationship began slowly, built on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. She had her own journey of personal growth, and we supported each other through various challenges. Being with her felt different from anything I had experienced before. It was a partnership where both of us were committed to helping each other thrive. As our relationship developed, I found myself feeling more content and complete. Sarah's presence in my life brought a new level of joy and companionship. We enjoyed exploring new places together, sharing our passions, and building a future based on mutual support and love. The financial success of my business provided us with opportunities to enjoy life more fully. We traveled to new destinations, experienced different cultures, and embraced new adventures. Money, which had once been a source of stress, became a tool for creating positive experiences and contributing to our shared goals. One of the most fulfilling aspects of my journey was the decision to use my success to help others. I started a mentorship program for men who were going through similar challenges to the ones I had faced. I shared my story, offered guidance, and provided resources to help them navigate their own journeys of transformation. It was incredibly rewarding to see the positive impact I could have on others. Many of the men I worked with were struggling with feelings of failure and despair, much like I had been. By sharing my experiences and offering support, I hoped to inspire them to take the first steps toward their own recovery and success. The mentorship program grew, and I began organizing workshops and seminars where I could reach a wider audience. It became a passion project, one that allowed me to give back and make a meaningful difference in the lives of others. The stories of transformation and progress that I heard from the men I mentored were a powerful reminder of how far I had come. Reflecting on my journey, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. The challenges I had faced had shaped me into the person I had become. They had taught me valuable lessons about resilience, self-worth, and the importance of perseverance. I was proud of the growth I had achieved and the new life I had built for myself. Looking forward, I was excited about the future. My business continued to thrive, and my relationship with Sarah was strong and fulfilling. I felt at peace with the past and optimistic about the possibilities that lay ahead. Each day was an opportunity to embrace new experiences, continue growing, and make a positive impact in the world. I had come a long way from the person I once was, the one who had been overwhelmed by despair and self-doubt. The new beginning I had created for myself was a testament to the power of transformation and the strength of the human spirit. I knew that life would always have its challenges, but I was confident in my ability to face them with the same courage and determination that had brought me this far. In the end, it was not just about achieving success or overcoming obstacles. It was about finding peace, fulfillment, and purpose in every aspect of my life. The journey had been long and difficult, but it led me to a place of genuine happiness and contentment. As I continued to move forward, I carried with me the lessons learned from my past and the hope for a bright future. The new beginning was not just a chapter in my story. It was a reflection of the person I had become, a person who had embraced change, overcome adversity, and created a life that was truly worth living. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next video. See you next time.